Hey guys, Brandon Woolham with CCM Magazine, and today we are checking in with Daniel from the Ball Brothers. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing well.
So you guys do a lot of shows around the world every year, but this time you went somewhere where everybody is canceling their shows, or one of the couple places people are canceling their shows. You just got back from Ukraine. You got to tell us how that trip came about.
Yeah, so we have a long history of taking missions trips, and our initial intention was to go to Romania because we had some contacts there and help out some of the Ukrainian refugees. When we contacted our contacts there, they said refugees are coming in and out. If you guys really want to be effective in your trip, there's a church in Ukraine that needs your help. And so started going through all the list of reasons why we couldn't do it. We couldn't, you can't rent a van and take it to a war zone. Don't know if it's safe. And the missionary said, well, will you talk to the Ukrainian pastor and then let me know what you guys decide to do? So talked to the Ukrainian pastor. He told us of the need that was there. So we said, hey, we're gonna make it work. We're gonna do it. And through that, got the invite to sing at a Ukrainian church on the Orthodox Easter Sunday, which was very, very unique. But God just worked all the details out. A missionary had some vans in Romania that we could use, so we loaded up 2 cargo vans full of supplies and took them to Vinnytsia, Ukraine, and it was a pretty amazing experience.
How close were you guys to all the action that we see on the news?
So we were on the western side of the country, so probably 400 or 500 miles around from where you would see most things on the news. But the whole country, is definitely on a heightened state of alert. And so whenever we went to cross the border, it took a lot longer than what it was supposed to. It took about 5 hours, should have taken about an hour, took about 5 hours. That put us in past the curfew. So we were the only vehicles driving with headlights on the roads. When we drove through towns, there were no lights on in the houses, no street lights on, no stop lights on, nothing. And then GPS service was intermittent. So we found ourselves close to where we knew the local pastor was, but we couldn't find his exact address because GPS wasn't working. So we pulled off at a gas station, and 2 Ukrainian soldiers came out of a guard shack that we didn't even see there with guns. Startled them. It was about 2 a.m. before we got in. And they said, one of them spoke broken English, thankfully, and said, what are you doing here? We said, we're bringing humanitarian supplies. And he says, who are you going to see? And I said, Pastor Paul Dudka. That was the Ukrainian pastor's name. He says, I don't know him. I said, well, do you know everybody here? And he's like, yeah, I do know everybody here, and I don't know him. I said, well, here's his number. Maybe you can call him and talk to him. We're legit. So he called the Ukrainian pastor. They spoke for a moment in Ukrainian. And after he got off the phone, he tells me that you're singers. And I said, we are. He says, well, sing for us right now. Well, you're not going to not sing for guys holding machine guns in a parking lot, even if it's 2 a.m. So we sang for him there. We were able to give him some of our supplies there to the guards that were there. And it was a crazy experience because even the day that we were there delivering humanitarian supplies, while we were there, air raid sirens went off, which was a common occurrence for them. But if you've never heard that before, I've heard tornado sirens before, it was similar, but I said, what does that mean? They said, that means missiles are launched in our direction. I was like, what do we do? They said, not much you can do. I mean, we can go inside, but if it's going to blow us up, it's going to blow us up. There's nothing you can do. So kind of a surreal experience. But we weren't near any of the main fighting. The closest that we got to where any missiles landed was probably about 90 miles on the way back. When we got back to Romania, we were by Moldova, and 2 communication towers got hit in Moldova. So, I mean, that's as close as we've ever been before. But from where the main fighting was, we were probably 400 or 500 miles from that.
So what was the plan had you not ran into those guys at the gas station? Sounds like you guys were just kind of driving around and hoping you ran into this guy over there.
Yeah, well, everyone's on edge. So we got a hold of the pastor, and he was trying to figure out which gas station we were at. Of course, we knew no Ukrainian. So knew a little bit of Romanian, but that didn't do us any good when we went across the border. So even things like reading street signs and trying to, a word that's 16 letters long looks to me like all consonants. And, where are you at? I can't even read this place to you. Yeah, we were just, we had 6 different devices on us on different cell networks and GPS devices. And we knew we were close to where we needed to be. But even like street signs and stuff there were not properly marked. So it was, we just prayed and God delivered us.
And on top of bringing supplies over there, you guys also performed too, right?
Yeah. So on Sunday, we sang for a Baptist church there in Ukraine. And I was nervous about it. Not a lot of English speakers. Out of about the 250 people that were there were probably 3, maybe 4 that spoke English at all. So 99.9% of the people didn't. And I thought, Lord, how can we be effective in this, singing in a different language? Now, they had someone interpret the songs. This is a song we're going to sing. This is briefly what it means. But stylistically, it couldn't have been as far as night and day difference from what they're used to. And even their traditional dress for their services is different than how we would, most of them, how we would dress. And their music is completely different. So we sang, and they didn't clap or say anything, maybe an amen after a song was over. And so it was really hard getting a read, very reserved people. And on the steps of the church, as we were done, there was person after person that came out. We had the translator staying by us. And what the Ukrainians were saying was, we couldn't understand a word that you were saying, but we felt each of the lyrics in our heart while you were singing. And I thought, wow, that's amazing, because that's the work of the Holy Spirit that we want to work every single time. But sometimes we have to see a barrier there to see really how he works. It's not the clever lyrics that we came up with in the song or the way we sing it. If he's not doing the work, then we're singing in vain wherever we're singing. So it was amazing to see that, I think, for all the guys.
Yeah. As believers here in the U.S., just watching it on the news, what do you think we need to know about that current situation, and how do we help over here?
So one of the things that I didn't realize is that a lot of the news attention gets put on the refugees that leave the country. Over 5 million have left. A lot of them have gone to Poland, places like Poland, Slovakia, Romania. What I didn't understand was those were the more wealthy people that had the means to be able to get and travel abroad. Some of the people that are the most in need of help are the ones that are displaced inside the country. They can't go, they don't want to go learn a new language. They don't have friends in France or Spain or Romania that they can go visit, or family. And so some of the most needy among them are displaced within the country. And that's about 8 million is the number that we were told. It was interesting to see the church at work there. There were about 120 refugees that we saw in the town that we're in, spread out over about 5 churches. And they were from sister churches. That's how they found out about them. It was people fleeing places like Mariupol that you've seen on the news, and getting a hold of their Christian friends and saying, where can we go and who will help us? And so one of the places we went was probably about 25 refugees. Another place was probably about 15. Another house had about 10. And these are believers helping believers that they do not know. The only bond that they have is that through Christ. And amazing to see how they're helping the displaced people within the country. One of the things that I didn't understand was, beyond the basic necessities that we think of, things like food and toiletries and things like that, they were setting up buildings where they needed, internet access so they could access their work and the kids could access their school. One of the buildings that we were in didn't have a proper water supply, so they had to spend about $2,500 to put in a water system to properly feed water to the building where so many refugees are. And then just access to things. Gas in Ukraine was $40 per gallon. We complain about gas prices here at $5 or $6 a gallon for diesel. They're paying $40 a gallon, and most of the time it's a limit to where they can get a gallon or 2 gallons at a time. So some of these people that drove 400 or 500 miles to get there, it was an 11, 12, 13, 14-day journey rather than 10 hours, because of just these extreme situations. So just pray for the people that are there, the people that are displaced within the country. A lot of people don't know what they're going to do. Some of the people there, 67 years old, feel like it's too late for them to go start over again in life. And so they're really trying to find their place. A lot of the communities, the town that we were in, the population is almost doubled from refugees just on the west side of the country. So finding jobs, economic situations. We were there praying with believers, delivering food. And when I asked them, what else can we do for you? They started bringing out pictures of their families, saying, hey, here's our families we haven't heard from. Can you put their picture up online and see? I mean, they were so grateful for the help of Americans. And some of them thought that we could do anything. And we certainly would do anything within our power to be able to help them. But they're like, hey, people, can you find our relatives? And here's a picture and here's their name. And so we put those up on Twitter and are just doing everything that we can. But pray for the people that are displaced. Pray for all the families that are housing people. I mean, I've had relatives over for Christmas, and by the end of their 5 or 6 day stay, I'm ready for them to go home. I can't imagine an entire family moving in with me indefinitely. And that's the situation that a lot of these people are in, housing people that they don't even know sometimes at all, indefinitely. They don't know when or if they're able to go back. So just keep praying for the situation there inside the country.
Yeah. You guys have a long history of these mission trips. Are there plans to go back there, or do you have some plans to go to some other countries here in the near future?
So we thought Kenya, Africa was going to be our next one. We work with Child Fund International, and we had talked about going to Kenya. It's funny how sometimes we have our calendar set of what we're going to do, but from 2020 on, it's been God setting our calendar. We've kind of had it wiped clear several times through all kinds of different circumstances. So, but I think that we will go back to Ukraine, and the main thing is that even long after the war is out of the headlines here in the States, the damage that's been done there is multi-years of damage that's been done. And so people are going to need help there for quite a while. And so I definitely think that we will be back. We have a base there in northern Romania where we can get into easily, and then from there set that up as a base to access across the border, which is nice for visas and passports. And obviously there's no air flights going into Kyiv or anywhere or with any regularity right now. So I believe that our heart is to go back, if the Lord would allow us to go back. They've asked us and invited us to come back again. And so, yeah, we would love to do it and continue to work there.
How difficult is it to get in there right now?
So because of the missionary work that was done in Romania, they had been across the border 4 or 5 times. And so they had kind of ironed out all the logistics. So we had the manifest of all of our stuff translated into Ukrainian. We had our vehicles marked with humanitarian markings across the front. So other than it taking a long time, because we had everything ready when we went and presented them their paperwork and they saw what we were doing, it was actually pretty easy to get into the country. Now, coming back out of Ukraine, a lot of military age guys, they're under nobody from 18 to 60, if you're a male, can leave the country. So they did double and triple check all of our passports, all of our identities, just making sure that we weren't Ukrainians trying to skip out on the war coming back. So I think we were under a little more scrutiny actually leaving the country than going in. They didn't, tear apart the vans or anything, and they could have. We had, a manifest there, but they could have taken out everything. And we've been in places where they've taken out and weighed everything. And hey, this is, 4 pounds over what you said it was. Let's rip this bag of beans open. They didn't do any of that. They were very appreciative and thankful for the help.
That's good. Well, with the pandemic and being in a war zone here lately, obviously some songwriting opportunities come from that. Is there new music in the works in the Ball Brothers, or are you guys going to focus on this stuff for a little bit?
No, we're actually definitely working on new music and writing some of our own things and some of our experiences. Some of the things that God just put you through that you're on get your mind thinking in a way that you haven't really thought of before. And seeing some of the needs that's over there that has definitely influenced what we're currently working on and writing. Yeah, so we're definitely got some stuff coming up.
And if people want to donate to your mission work, can they go to your website? Is that where they help out at?
Yeah, they can go to theballbrothers.com. I don't currently have anything up there right now, but we'll wait till we have another trip announced. And once we do, there will be a donate link on there. And that was one of the incredible things. We were just going to pay for this trip ourselves and do as much as we could on our own. We opened it up through our website, and not only we were able to fill up 2 vans full of supplies, we were able to give almost $18,000 or a little over $18,000 to the churches there on the ground, which helps them with some of the operational costs beyond the food. And so we were really ecstatic that people, sometimes just feel helpless just to watch and pray. They see it on the news and feel like there's no way to get involved. But there are many opportunities, even outside the Ball Brothers. Samaritan's Purse is a good one. They were about 200 miles north of us that have a permanent, not permanent, but they have a field hospital that's set up there for months right now. And that's another one, in some of those bigger cities. And then some groups like us are able to get into some of the smaller places and just have, a huge impact in a small area. And so, yeah, we're really thankful for everyone that got involved and prayed for us and gave towards the trip.
Awesome. You guys are always giving updates on your social media, so people can just tune in there and they'll find out when they can help out.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, man. Thanks for joining us today. Be safe out there.
Thanks for having us on.